I am. Awesome. Thank you. My name is Andrew Barton, and I'm honored to be here both as a candidate and as someone whose life has been shaped by what it means to serve. I was born in Texas to my birth mother, a woman whose family had recently immigrated from Mexico. At just 18, already raising my two older sisters, she had me and made the incredibly difficult and selfless decision to place me for adoption, knowing that she could not afford to give me the care that I needed. I was raised by a loving family and moved to Chicago, where I was given the privilege of opportunities that never would have been accessible beforehand. But growing up, I became more aware that something was different. Why is it that I don't look like the people around me? Why is it that my experiences don't always align with my friends who did look like me? I grew up with one foot in two different worlds, and those experiences made me ask difficult questions. Why is opportunity determined by where I was born and who I was born to? Those questions led me here because no one should have to question if they belong in their community, in their home, or in this country. And no one should have to rely on their zip code to get the opportunities that we all deserve. That's why I'm running for state senate, because real representation is about whose voices are heard in the decisions that shape all of our lives. And I'm ready to fight to make sure everyone has a seat at the table in the state capitol. I've spent the last 7 years working in and with the Colorado State Legislature to draft, stakeholder, and pass policies that directly impact our communities, supporting and funding our public schools, expanding gun violence prevention policies to keep our communities safe, advancing local green energy solutions and environmental protections to combat the climate crisis, and above all, protecting our democracy. Our gold standard election system that is under attack from the Trump administration and a Department of Justice threatening to undermine the rule of law and democracy itself. I've worked with state legislatures across the country on solutions to Medicaid funding and managing federal funds to support public pre-K education. As the program manager for Colorado Common Cause, I've worked tirelessly to pass the Colorado Voting Rights Act, legislation that will codify federal election protections right here in Colorado, expanding access for multilingual communities across the state and within our district. In our current climate of extremist executive orders and legislation coming from Congress, we need to stand strong as a state and fight to protect the people who call Colorado home. This moment calls for legislative experience, but also a new vision, one that meets people where they are, one that will be proactive against the growing threats to our democracy and the disconnect so many in our state and community feel. We've seen young, Hispanic, and working class people in Colorado and across the country shy from the Democratic Party or disengage entirely. They are the future of our party. They're our friends and neighbors who work hard every day to build up our community, start families, and pursue their dreams. But when it comes to having a strong voice in our political process, to having a seat at the table, they too often feel left out. If we're going to build a Democratic Party that can save our country, we must engage with the future, our young people and the disenchanted voters who don't see a place for themselves in the conversation. Colorado has been a national leader in healthcare access, climate change, immigration, and civil rights because of the tireless advocates, policymakers, and community leaders within our party who fought for decades to move us forward. As your state senator, I will bring us together to build a strong, united community where we lean on each other, our collective knowledge, and our passion to make real change. When we work together and uplift the voices of those fighting for progress, we don't just defend our values, we live them. This is how we shape a future that reflects the best of who we are as Coloradans and as Americans. The incredible communities of Longmont, Lafayette, Erie, and the unincorporated areas between have each led the way in shaping a stronger Colorado. Longmont, with its local broadband and public utilities, shows that communities can thrive when they control their future. Lafayette has championed youth engagement in public service to the point where even the mayor himself is a Youth Advisory Commission graduate. Erie's become a powerful voice in standing up to harmful residential oil and gas development, fighting for stronger health and safety protections for its residents. As your senator, I will fight to ensure our communities have the resources and the support they need to continue their local leadership and remind the Senate that it's not just Denver and Boulder whose voices matter. And I've committed my career to that change, to make sure that our government, our policies, and politics reflect the lives and struggles of the people they're meant to serve. I'm running to continue that work, to meet you where you're at, and to bring your values to the state Senate. At a time when the federal government cannot be relied on, we need strong progressive leadership right here at the state level to defend our rights, grow our party, and protect the future of Colorado. We must make sure that healthcare is treated not as a privilege, but as a right, that reproductive freedoms in this state remain protected, and the quality healthcare remains available to all Coloradans, no matter their situation. In this district, we're fortunate to have leaders who've worked tirelessly to expand access, strengthen Medicaid, and push for universal healthcare, thanks in no small part to many of the folks here today. But in the face of looming federal cuts to Medicaid and a state budget shortfall that will hit our communities in Boulder and Weld counties hard, we must take bold action to prevent those in need from losing access to critical health care. Whether by addressing Tabor or passing more progressive tax codes at the ballot box, I will fight to uphold our commitment to funding equitable health care in the face of federal attack. Healthcare funding isn't just policy. It's about ensuring that no one is left behind when we have the power to help. Colorado has also been at the forefront of environmental protections, and our district has set the standard for clean energy and sustainability. As your senator, I'll empower our local leaders to continue their groundbreaking work, strengthening wildfire resilience, expanding community-driven solar and wind projects, and ensuring that our transition to green energy benefits everyone. But we can't ignore the harm that lax regulations have caused either, especially in communities like Erie, where near residential oil and gas development, orphaned wells, and poor air quality threaten public health. I fully support reducing our dependence on oil and gas, strengthening regulation enforcement, and transitioning to renewable energy. But we have to do it right, ensuring a just transition so workers and communities tied to these industries have a real path to stable, good-paying jobs in the clean energy economy. I've also spent my career fighting for our democracy. At my first internship with New Era Colorado, I worked to register young voters before we had automatic voter registration. With then Representative Tom Sullivan, I worked to help draft, stakehold, and pass the Vote Without Fear Act, protecting voters from armed intimidation that we saw during the 2020 election. And now, as program manager at Colorado Common Cause, I'm leading the charge to pass the Colorado Voting Rights Act, ensuring federal election protections remain here in Colorado and voters continue to have strong legal pathways against discrimination. As your senator, I will work to protect the progress we've made here in Colorado, ensuring that our election system remains the national gold standard in fighting to stop federal attempts to disenfranchise voters. Now more than ever, we must stand up and lead the way to protect and expand our fundamental freedoms. And as your state senator, I will do exactly that. One of the most important lessons in policy and organizing is that real progress comes from engagement. Even when fundamental differences arise, that's when conviction matters. In every policy I've worked on, I prioritize bringing all stakeholders to the table, whether it's discussions of cost concerns with developers on weatherization requirements, or in the Colorado Voting Rights Act, meeting with county clerks across the state to understand their worries and ensure that provisions are effective and practical. I've always made it a priority to listen, to understand concerns, and find creative solutions. But it's also critical to know your values and the values of the community you represent. While campaigning with Senator Marchman in Estes Park, a member of the Hispanic community there approached us with skepticism, justified after years of empty promises from politicians there. He shared how happy he was to see someone who looked like himself working in politics. And the statement impacted me, as even though we did disagree on many issues, we were able to connect on our shared experiences, allowing us to find common ground on the issues affecting his community. This is what effective collaboration requires, the ability to see beyond political differences to the human experiences that unite us. I will always seek common ground and practical solutions, but also stand in the values that connect us. As your state senator, I commit to bringing all of your voices into the conversation, especially those too often excluded. I will listen to understand and gain knowledge, not just from our experiences and similarities, but also from our differences. I will never compromise on protecting our healthcare, our environment, and the right to be heard in this democracy, because we deserve a Colorado where everybody has a voice, because we deserve a government that reflects our diversity, honors our dignity, and fights for every person's right to build a meaningful life here in Colorado. And that is my promise to you, and that is how we will move forward together. Thank you, and I hope to earn your support.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Okay, that's